Hello, and welcome to Waking Up with Wisdom. Today, we're sharing an extraordinary story that shows how even in the face of danger, Buddha's compassion and wisdom remained unshaken. It's a story about envy, hatred, forgiveness, and the power of inner peace. A moment when Buddha was almost killed by his own cousin, yet responded with kindness and profound wisdom. Buddha's life was marked by his teachings of compassion, mindfulness, and the pursuit of enlightenment, but not everyone understood or embraced his message. One of his greatest challenges came not from strangers, but from someone close, his cousin Devadatta. Unlike Buddha, Devadatta was consumed by envy and anger. He wanted to overshadow Buddha, and in his jealousy, he made it his mission to bring Buddha down, both figuratively and literally. Devadatta was always seeking ways to discredit Buddha and make himself appear superior. His ambition knew no bounds, and over time, his envy darkened into something far more dangerous. While Buddha radiated peace and serenity, Devadatta seethed with resentment, believing that by eliminating Buddha, he could rise to power. One fateful day, Devadatta's jealousy reached its peak. He devised a wicked plan. He would take Buddha's life. As Buddha walked peacefully along a quiet path, deep in meditation and unaware of any danger, Devadatta saw his chance. Standing high on a hill, Devadatta spotted a large, heavy boulder, perfectly positioned to crush anyone who walked below. Without hesitation, he shoved the massive stone with all his might, aiming directly at his cousin. The rock hurtled down the slope with terrifying speed, and for a moment, it seemed as though Buddha's life would surely end. But something extraordinary happened. Just before the boulder reached Buddha, it struck another rock and was diverted, landing harmlessly beside him. Buddha, still immersed in his peaceful state, looked up calmly. He realized what had occurred, but his expression did not change. There was no fear in his eyes, no anger, no distress, just the same gentle smile that always graced his face. Even after this near-death experience, Buddha remained centered in his compassion. He simply continued on his way, his heart untouched by the evil intentions that had been directed toward him. He knew that Devadatta's actions stemmed from a place of suffering and ignorance, and Buddha, in his infinite wisdom, did not allow hatred to take root in his heart. Days passed, and the incident seemed to fade. But Devadatta had not forgotten. His anger boiled over as he learned that his attempt to kill Buddha had failed. What troubled him even more was that despite his actions, Buddha hadn't retaliated. There was no punishment, no vengeance, just silence. This baffled Devadatta, who expected some form of reaction, some show of anger. Then one day, Devadatta crossed paths with Buddha. It was a meeting he couldn't avoid. He braced himself for confrontation, thinking surely now Buddha would express his anger or at least call him out for his wickedness. But instead, Buddha greeted him as though nothing had happened. "Welcome, Devadatta," Buddha said, his voice warm and kind. "How are you today?" Devadatta was stunned. The words didn't make sense to him. How could Buddha, the man he had tried to kill, welcome him so calmly, without a trace of bitterness? His confusion quickly turned to disbelief. "Are you not angry with me?" Devadatta asked, incredulous. Buddha looked at him with the same compassionate eyes he offered to all beings, whether friend or foe. "No, Devadatta," he said gently, "I am not angry." Devadatta's face twisted with confusion. "But why not? I tried to kill you. I wanted you dead." His voice was almost pleading, as if he needed to understand why his cousin wasn't consumed with rage. Buddha smiled softly, his words filled with the wisdom of ages. "Because, Devadatta, the person who threw the rock is no longer here. And the person who stood there when the rock was thrown is no longer here either." Devadatta was speechless. He stared at Buddha, trying to grasp the meaning behind his words. Buddha continued, "Life is always changing, Devadatta. Everything is in transition. You, who acted out of anger and hatred, are not the same person now as you were then. And I, who was once the target of your attack, am no longer the same person either. Time moves on, and so do we." Devadatta's mind whirled as Buddha's wisdom began to sink in. He had expected Buddha to cling to anger, to hold a grudge, but instead, Buddha had let go. Devadatta realized in that moment that he had been enslaved by his own hatred, trapped in his jealousy, while Buddha had moved forward, free from the chains of resentment. Buddha's eyes softened as he offered one final piece of wisdom. To those who understand the nature of life, everything is in constant motion. To those who know how to love, everything is forgivable. The grudges we carry only weigh us down, preventing us from evolving. But if we release them, we can continue to grow, to change, to transform. We are never the same person we were yesterday, and neither are those around us. The power of Buddha's words lay in their simplicity and truth. He taught that holding on to anger, clinging to past hurts, only keeps us trapped in a cycle of pain. In contrast, when we forgive and let go, we free ourselves to move forward, to evolve into better versions of ourselves. Buddha's encounter with Devadatta wasn't just an act of forgiveness. It was a demonstration of how one can rise above even the darkest intentions with a heart full of compassion. As Devadatta stood there, humbled by his cousin's forgiveness, he felt the weight of his jealousy and hatred begin to lift. He had expected resistance, but instead, he was met with understanding. And in that moment, Devadatta realized that Buddha had not only spared his life but had also shown him the path to inner peace. The story of Buddha and Devadatta teaches us one of the most profound lessons in life: the power of forgiveness and the importance of letting go. Buddha's wisdom reveals that we are always changing, and so are the people around us. If we cling to grudges, we hold ourselves back from evolving. But when we choose to forgive and release our anger, we free ourselves to grow into better, wiser versions of who we are meant to be. This story reminds us that every experience, every encounter, is part of the ever-changing flow of life. We are not the same people we were yesterday, and neither are those who once wronged us. By embracing forgiveness and understanding, we allow ourselves to move forward, unburdened by the past. Thank you for watching Waking Up with Wisdom. Stay blessed, and may we all continue to evolve with love and compassion.